How did we reach here where we are? In the 70s and 80s, many of us who have grown up in that era, this is what we were. We didn't have fridge. We didn't have all the range of gadgets, equipments that we live with on a daily life, in our daily lives, right? Even electricity was not granted, right? And we've learned to deal with all that. We had those minimum number of dresses, minimum number of footwear, and everything was a very frugal era, recycle era that we did. It was passed on from one generation to another. Clearly, we've come to another world, and you guys are in some way resetting, going back to the era where we came from. Do you want to talk about some of the big shifts that you see from your lens? And both of you actually have a very different lens to look at. So maybe Reva, you want to start with the journey, and how do you see these big shifts that may have happened in consumption over your time frame that you've lived?
Yeah, you're right when you say that. We've come a long way. We've come a long way from making things easily accessible for ourselves, which was a need then, to now, being under this illusion of false control, that, as if we have control over everything, being in an illusion that the resources are unlimited. I think, yeah, for me, it's that a reality check that we need, actually, more than what we should be doing. A reality check on, probably during the 80s, like you're talking about, maybe during that time, we were engaging with what is real, rather than an illusion right now, an illusion of.
Can you explain that? When you say illusion, what do you mean by that?
An illusion that at the click of a button we'll have light. That light is abundant, it's available. That access to all kinds of resources is abundant to everybody. And when I say being in touch with the real, to actually know what happens in the process of this light being available to us. If, say, for example, sunlight we see coming every day, we know that on certain days we'll have full sunlight and on certain other days we'll not have enough sunlight. And the span of the day is the limit that we'll have sunlight from dawn to dusk. That's engaging with the real. From the source of where the sunlight comes from, we are engaging with the real from the origin of it. If we are collecting our rainwater, we are engaging with rainwater from the origin, so, where it comes from in reality. And if we've captured as much we've captured, we know this much is available for our consumption. But if we source something with an illusion that money is buying us everything, and it's as much money we have, things will be available, I think that's the illusion I'm talking about. That somewhere maybe this illusion is giving us the power. Whether we really have that control and power is a question that we all are sitting with.
Sahar, what about you? How do you look at this shift? And I'm not sure you were in the 80s and 90s, but help me get a sense. How do you remember and the arc of evolution of our consumption that has happened? Go ahead.
So I grew up in the 90s, and I think, it was a special time. I remember the Mandi van coming home, like a small mini tempo, once a month with all of the, groceries, all of the dals, rice, everything. And I have two older sisters. So my mom, we would all sit there and we would all kind of go through the checklist. And each of us was responsible to account for something. You're like, 1 kg of this, 1 kg of that. And then we take it from their dabbas, put it into our own dabbas, and put it into our ceramic containers, into our pantry, in our storeroom. And I think it's a very special generation, I think. I think we are kind of the glue. We've kind of seen how it used to be. We've seen the kind of mandiwalas come home. And then we've seen the switch where suddenly, plastic kind of changed our economies and our lifestyle.
You know what that generation is called? Sandwich generation.
Yeah.
Seriously, it is.
Yeah,
go
I think
ahead.
we are the glue. I think we are the sandwich. You're right. So I think we then saw basically, this whole like westernized notion of consumption and FMCG goods kind of come to our lives, where grocery stores in that kind of a format became very kind of part of our day to day. And I think it's quite actually different from how it used to be. It's also quite, I think, unnatural to our Indian DNA, where it was very democratic. you would go and get how much produce you want. You want, 25 grams, 250 grams or 500 grams or 1 kg, versus you're getting these pre-dictated amount of packaged food in a Ziploc, in a plastic, etc. So I think we're a really special generation because we've seen how it used to be and then we saw it change. And I think if there is any generation that has the ability to kind of move it, move the needle in terms of going back to a more sustainable lifestyle, it's us who's witnessed it. So I think we're a special sandwich generation, like you said. And I think I remember the days where we would go to Cubbon Park with my dad and my sisters, and that was part of our lifestyle, and I lived really close to it, etc. And on Sundays, we would take the blue Fiat to go to Russell Market to get the groceries, the fresh produce, etc. With dad. And then we have special bags that were used only for that, and with like a nice kind of sturdy bags that we would always use for it. I can literally imagine the colors as I'm speaking. While the pulses would come from the mandi wala, the produce would come weekly fresh on Sundays with our morning post Cubbon Park with dad at Russell Market. So I think I've seen from that's what I relate to when you were kind of just sharing, to then now everything being available at the click of a button within 10 minutes or so. Yeah.